I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. One only remembers to turn on the light.
It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
The ones that love us never really leave us.
Working hard is important, but there's something that matters, believing in yourself. If they can do it, why not us?
Hey everyone, welcome to Hogwarts, a podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hogwarts, a podcast. We're covering Act 2, Scenes 16 through 19 of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. We have Elizabeth with us.
Hello everyone.
And Jen is back again.
Hey guys.
We got an interesting discussion to have on these scenes. We get a lot of Albus and Scorpius. But before we get to the actual scenes, we do want to say that we have recently gone out to the Forbidden Forest experience that is now in the Chicagoland area. For those that haven't been to the experience yet or haven't had the pleasure to try it out yet, we just kind of wanted to say what our experience was, what we kind of liked, what we might have not liked, and everything in between. So, Elizabeth, I'll start with you. What were some of your favorite parts of the experience?
It was super cool. I mean, I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this when we went there, but it is a walk-through experience. I think I was thinking it was more like a museum, but no, it takes place in a actual forest preserve. So you walk through the path, and along the way there's a bunch of lights and sounds that they pump in and different scenes from the books. So I thought those were really cool and well done. I liked a bunch of light up mushrooms that you could change the colors with the wand, although I did think the original colors were very pretty because they were originally blue. And I know there was one sequence that all of us thought was the coolest, so we can talk about that in a second, because Jen, what did you think?
That sequence was hands down my favorite.
Yeah.
But I thought the rest of it was actually pretty well done. They had a lot of interesting photo ops. I thought they had a decent amount of like little scenes that they had. The audio I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of picture opportunities. Between Jen and I, we took a lot of pictures.
Yeah. There were a lot of cool shots though, and like the path itself was really well lit up in some places, but in other places it was very dark, and that kind of added to the ambiance.
A lot of themed lighting.
Yeah, a lot of themed lighting.
The sound piping through was, I thought, really good, and then what you guys are saying too, the lighting was really good, because they had like normal background lighting to like guide you through the path, but then they also had scene specific lighting.
Yeah. Which
was also really interesting because there was an option to buy wands and different interactive wand stations, and they use a lot of lighting to, like, the wand work would trigger a lot of different lighting for various scenes, which was also really fun to see.
Like, they had the devil's snare, and you could wave your wand, and it would go from, like, the green light projection to suddenly white light to indicate that, like, you lit the fire to destroy the plant. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely an interactive walkthrough that's really, really good, I think, for all ages. As we saw, there were a lot of different people there. It was young, old, and it was also handicap accessible. Mm-hmm. So we did see someone that was on like a motorized wheelchair.
Yeah.
And that being said, the path is still a forest preserve, so there's going to be some uneven ground. Mm-hmm. I would suggest wearing some good shoes as you're traversing through this forested path. But what they've both hinted at, which was also my favorite part of the whole experience, was this section. They kind of bring you through the books in a way. Yeah,
because like you see Harry and Draco with Fang, and you hear the quotes from the movie with them doing their first detention.
The Fort Anglia.
Yeah, and the spiders.
So they take you through some prominent scenes throughout the books that have taken place in or near the Forbidden Forest. And as you get further on in the path, it gets later in the books.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Jen, you noted at one point, it's starting to get, the theming is starting to get a little darker. Just like the books did. And there was a really cool moment when we were just standing looking at some of the projections that were not hidden, but like semi-hidden behind trees. Like, you had to see them.
Because they were
weren't obvious.
flashing in and out, or they were like colored eyes that would flash on and off. There was that one, like, what was that, a Dementor or a Death Eater?
There was a Death Eater.
That was like very in the dark, and then the light would kind of come on it, and you could hear the breathing of it, and it was very spooky. I liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it,
but
it was very well hidden.
when the lights were off, you could not see it.
Yeah.
But also throughout this, up until this point, throughout the attraction, you are just constantly hearing background music, and it's background music from the soundtrack for the movie. It fits whatever scene that you're on, so you're used to walking through this up until this part. Everything sounds like you're just in a, you're at Hogsmeade. You're in like this happy place.
Yeah. So we're noticing these projections, and nothing seems to be particularly abnormal. Everything's going how it has been for the last, hour as we traverse through the path. And then all of a sudden, the noise cuts out and a voice booms through the forest. And it's Voldy's voice as he's giving his message to everyone at Hogwarts right before the Battle of Hogwarts really kicks off. And to me, it was both very eerie, but also you couldn't help but smile because you felt like you were in that scene all of a sudden.
I'm pretty sure I just laughed right afterwards because I was like, that was really cool.
It was so cool because of the sound system and how it was set up. It felt like the voice was all around you.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell if he was even there or where he was, which is the effect that he gives in the book of him just being all around you but also not even there. And it's off-putting in the best way possible.
It's so off-putting. It's very jarring because it's just so silent. Like, you're so used to there being a background noise that you almost don't notice it. And then when his voice cuts in and they completely cut out the background music, all of his pauses are so much heavier.
Yeah. It's my favorite part of the whole experience. And we spent a good amount of time at this experience. We spent about 2 hours there overall.
It didn't say, usually people take 45 to 75 minutes, and we're like, you don't know us. We will make the use of this time.
But that being said, I don't think we really even lingered on any one thing too long.
No.
I'm genuinely surprised that we spent 2 hours there, but I'm also surprised that they say that it's 45 minutes to 75 because I can't see anyone if you're doing 45 minutes, you're just walking the whole time. You were not stopping for anything, which is kind of surprising because I felt like, too, we also kept largely pace with the people around us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sectioned it into groups, and they spread the groups out through, every 5 to 10 minutes, I'd probably say. And that gives you a good enough gap to be with your group. And if you want to fall behind, let them go ahead so you have your picture opportunity. That's okay. I don't think we ever thought it was ever too crowded.
No.
And it definitely wasn't ever empty. And they had times going pretty late into the night. I think the last time they had scheduled was for 9:45 in the evening. It's also in the middle of a forest preserve. It is pitch black.
Yeah, there were some of those spots where I'm
outside.
like, if you didn't have these lights, good luck.
Parking was a little bit of an issue at the Chicago location. I don't know how they've set it up in other locations. Parking was an interesting experience.
There's a lot of cars.
There's a lot of cars, and it's in a forest preserve, so there's some iffy ground that you have to traverse. But they also, in addition to the trail that they do have a little area set up with some shops, both for souvenirs and for food and drinks. Some of them themed, some of them not. But yeah, it was a fun environment. Everybody that seemed to be working there seemed to enjoy being there.
Yeah.
And helping you if you had questions. So I think it's fair to say that we all enjoyed our time there. If the Forbidden Forest experience ever does come your way, because it does, I believe, rotate different locations. It's not just in Chicago. We encourage you to go out and check it out. It's a fun experience. Like I said, good for all ages, good for all abilities, whether you're an avid hiker or whether you're not as mobile, it still works. So we encourage you to check it out. Let us know how you enjoyed it and give us your experience and what you liked and what you didn't like and all that kind of good stuff. We'd love to hear all of those stories.
And look out on social media for any of the pictures that Jenn or Dan took.
Yeah,
They'll
we took a lot.
We did.
We took a lot. So let's get into Act 2, Scene 16 of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. We are in the Hogwarts Library. And we find Scorpius and Albus finally coming together to actually have a discussion. It's more of Scorpius confronting Albus about not having a previous discussion, but they end up getting there anyway. We get a lot of backstory, actually, from Scorpius as to what occurred after they interrupted Cedric Diggory's first task. And Scorpius says that Ron ended up taking Hermione to the Yule Ball, but just as friends. And they danced as friends, and that was nice, and that was cool, and that was a good time. But Ron also ended up dancing with Padma, which was nicer than dancing with Hermione. So we had theorized before, like, ooh, what could have been the real, like, shakeup, or what could have been the real point of change in the timeline. And according to Scorpius, seems to be the Yule Ball.
I love the fact that he got this information from Rita Skeeter's book, because it just makes me laugh so much that there's no amount of gossip that Rita Skeeter will not stoop down to discuss.
Well, this is prime Rita, like, snooping, too.
Yes. Like, I could totally hear her over, like, her as her little beetle form overhearing this and be like, ooh, I'm going to write a chapter about this in my future book about Harry Potter.
The whole wizarding world was probably clued in to the life of teenagers at this point in time, because the whole world was literally watching a couple of 17-year-olds compete in this, and a 14-year-old compete in this tournament. But my question would be, if you're a professional writer, who at this time was fairly well accomplished, why are you writing about teen drama? Like, at a dance? Like, that seems weird, right?
Did you hear about how Ron and Hermione went together?
Like, now you're writing the gossip column all of a sudden? It's a 14-year-old dating. Like, that's a weird thing to write about. Right?
Yeah, it just makes me laugh because I could totally see it as a newspaper article, because that's what it was back then. But to think that she, like, wrote this whole book and decided to include the fact about how the two of them went to the dance together. It's like, your editor didn't take that out? Yeah.
Like, the fact that, ooh, Ron and Hermione went as friends. Like, who cares? They went as friends. Like, what is the juice there, really, to really, like, gauge interest?
Yeah.
So there's nothing really there. So Hermione ended up not going to the Yule Ball with Victor Crumb because she believed that the two odd Durmstrang boys that she met during the first task sabotaged Cedric on Victor's orders. Therefore, she didn't go with him.
I do love this element of time travel, because as much as I hate that one tiny thing can change everything so drastically, it is fun to see what tiny changes they make that do change everything. Like, they thought it was such a natural thing. We talked to Hermione for, like, 5 seconds, and yet that is something that completely destroyed a relationship and the existence of a human being with Rose.
That is a totally logical step for Hermione to take in that timeline, though.
I think it makes perfect sense, and I like that a lot.
Two very weird individuals, and then something weird happens. Why wouldn't you connect potential dots?
Yeah.
Yes, to your point, don't try to minimize any interactions you can possibly have when you're trying to change
surprised.
everything.
I know, like, James has the invisibility cloak, but, like, if they had had the invisibility cloak back in time, that would have been a smarter thing.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the one thing that Albus is really missing, because he's trying to be Harry here. He's trying to do this, what he thinks is an amazing, otherworldly type act. Mm-hmm. The problem is, Harry always did have something that was like his ace.
Yeah.
And for a lot of that time, there was the invisibility cloak. At least when he remembered to bring it with him. Anyway, speaking of Harry, Scorpius assumes that Harry hasn't changed at all. He has got the same job, same wife, same kids. So according to Scorpius, Harry seems to be on the same exact track. No differences there. Albus is a little like, it seems to be a little different to me. I mean, the interactions I've had with him, he seems a little odd. But Scorpius unconvinced. Scorpius then begins to cite Professor Croker's law. The law, essentially, states that any time travel beyond 5 hours potentially does very serious harm, and serious ripples will then occur, hence no Rose being born.
The fact that he's bringing this up now drives me absolutely insane. Like, I know he has had this knowledge the entire time, unless he just only looked it up, in which case that was very foolish. But this should have stopped them from time traveling in the first place. Like, talk about 5 hours. They went back 20 years. Yeah.
Well, Scorpius does bring up concerns with Delphi initially of like, hey, how are we getting back? Like, that's a fair question to ask. Like, do we just magically get back to the same timeline? Do we have to live out that, whatever it is? How do we do that? So he brings up concerns that he has.
But, like, we talked about
this. She skates past them fairly quickly.
We talked about this with Book 3, though, of how the time travel works so well because they're only going back, 3 hours tops? Yeah. And it's, like, not that much has changed in those 3 hours, so if you undo it, it's not going to cause massive, massive ripples that this clearly did.
It was one thing I think, too, that was also nice about Book 3 was that it was fairly tighter than what this is. Mm-hmm. Tracking along each thing. Like, it was more of a closed loop.
Yeah. I really like the Book 3 time travel for that reason.
Yeah.
So just a little background on Professor Croker. He was an unspeakable at the Department of Mysteries who dedicated his life to the study of time travel. Croker's caution was the reason that the Ministry time turners were used for only mundane tasks and were limited to a few hours only, such as what you just said. He did ultimately cite the unfortunate tale of Eloise Mintumble, who went back to 1402 and became trapped there. When she returned to the present time, her body had aged so much she soon died. And her time travel had affected many lives, including 25 descendants who were suddenly unborn. So that's a little bit of the background on Professor Croker from the Harry Potter lexicon. So, ultimately, even after Scorpius cites all of this and is like, dude, I think we really messed up in a big way, the first thing Albus says is like, oh, well, let's go back.
Yeah.
And Scorpius is like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Like, let's go back?
He snatches it out of his hand. It's like, we're going to do this.
Yeah, you still got the time turner, right? Like, no one took that from you. They end up wrestling over the time turner for a little bit, and Scorpius does say, we'll mess it up. We're losers. True and total losers. And then Albus says something a little fiery. He says, I wasn't a loser before I met you. And he ends up blaming Scorpius for all of the failures. That kicks off a huge Scorpius eruption of, I think, a long overdue dose of truth for Albus for just a second.
Well, I mean, Scorpius said, like, you know, whatever you're about to do, this isn't the way you prove yourself to Harry. And Albus said, like, you know, I can be more successful without you holding me back. And this goes back to my previous question. I know I've talked about it a lot, but, like, what is the character motivation for Albus with everything that he's doing? And I'm still a little confused, but I guess a little bit more clear. If Scorpius seems to think that Albus is trying to prove himself to Harry, then I suppose that is what's happening. But this whole, like, I wasn't a loser before I met you. Excuse me, sir. You are talking to your one and only friend. Like, watch your mouth.
I understand Albus's point of view on that, because from his mindset, from his point of view, his world didn't take a left turn until he met Scorpius and until, presumably, he made the choice to go to Slytherin. Mm-hmm. And then the avalanche happens in his mind.
I respectfully disagree. I do not think that Albus is in any way introspective enough to realize that he has brought this on himself.
I think he's doing it out of...
He's being defensive.
He's being defensive. I think he has identified that one moment as the turning point in his life, which it is. It is a turning point in his life.
Yeah.
You met this person who has, for better or worse, changed your life, and then you've made decisions after that moment that have changed your life. So he's kind of pinpointing that one moment as a turning point. Scorpius, however, just like you, Jen, respectfully disagrees and goes into this aggressive monologue where he says, "Your dad is the famous savior, Harry Potter. People think my dad is Voldy. I was excited when I realized things had finally changed in this new timeline. Maybe my life had changed. Maybe some specific things in my life had changed. But my mom is still dead. I'm still considered to be Voldy's child. And apparently, I'm still sympathetic to someone who never gives anything back to me. So I'm sorry to ruin your life, because you could have never ruined mine. It was already ruined. You just didn't make it any better because you're a terrible, most terrible friend."
Yes, Scorpius. Approval.
He says all of what we're thinking.
Call out your toxic friends when they're being toxic towards you.
Scorpius is the audience.
Yes.
In a lot of different ways throughout this entire play. Because I think every time he does have a long monologue, it is usually something that the audience is like, "Hey, wait a second, what about this?" Or, "Hey, this doesn't seem right." And then he comments on it, usually.
Yeah.
I think this is both a very empowering thing for Scorpius to say, but I also think it's a very necessary thing for Albus to hear.
Yeah, because it's being like, "Sir, you are not showing any empathy whatsoever. You are being self-centered for a Potter who complains about being a Potter so much. Like, you are certainly attached to this idea of, like, woe is me. Get
Like
over yourself."
Like, what are you actually complaining about?
Yeah.
Like, think for a second what you're actually complaining about.
And who you're complaining to.
He needed a reality check.
We did actually have a poll recently that did talk about this type of subject. And it was from Act 2, Scenes 1 to 6, so the beginning of Act 2. And the question was, in your opinion, who would have the tougher time at Hogwarts? Albus being a Potter or Scorpius being a Malfoy? And right now, the poll results are heavily in favor of Albus having the tougher time.
Really?
75% says Albus would have the tougher time at Hogwarts because he's a Potter.
Interesting.
Scorpius disagrees with that.
I think I do too.
I would definitely disagree with that.
Knowing how Voldemort was, like, people were too scared to even say his name. And granted, I know 20 years have passed since he was alive, but if you read the history books and it still causes enough people to whisper whenever they see you and stuff, like being the son of the evilest man in the wizarding world versus the most famous man of the wizarding world, I think I'd rather be the most famous.
I think the interesting thing here for me is that it feels like Albus is actively choosing to isolate himself. I know that we talked about that a lot more in Act 1, but a lot of the choices that he made were to withdraw from people, and Albus could have gone into Hogwarts and had a lot more community around him, both with the Potter name and also with his brother already being in Hogwarts. I think if he goes to Gryffindor, it's just kind of a footnote. So I think this is more of Albus bringing it on himself that he's having a terrible time in Hogwarts. I think that Scorpius was always going to have a terrible time at Hogwarts, because I don't think that there's a way to escape. Not even just being born to a Death Eater, period, and having to go to school, because I feel like that would carry some amount of stigma associated with it, but then also the rumors of his father being Voldemort. This kid was... And then also dealing with his mom being sick at home and dying in the middle of the second or third year. There's no way this kid was ever going to have a good time.
I think far too many people overlook that bit of it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just always focus on the Draco and the Lucius and the Voldy part of it.
And I think, like, as much as Albus is isolating himself, Scorpius tries to make friends. I mean, like, he was trying to befriend Rose. He's mentioned Rose being gone more than Albus has, and that's his cousin. And to be rejected daily by people that you are trying to, I want to be friends with you, like, that is hard, too.
Just think of the first interaction they all had.
Yeah.
Rose was like, not him.
Yeah.
Literally anybody else
him.
on this train.
Yep.
Not him.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there should set the tone for your life wasn't so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You were okay. I was never good. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely shifts. So I think this is a really awesome moment for Scorpius to actually stand up and defend himself a little bit, which I feel like he hasn't done.
He is not, and it is very refreshing to see.
We do get a little bit of a tone shift, though, with this very serious conversation between two friends that are having what I feel like is a friendship-defining conversation. Mm-hmm. And then we get a tone shift when McGonagall comes in. And she obviously has a Marauder's map, and she's trying to find these two kids, because she's clearly identified, like, oh, man, they're together. I'm going to be in trouble. Harry's going to come over, and he's going to start yelling and threaten me again, and whatever. And then she realizes that, okay, they should be right here, and they're not right here. They are currently moving towards me, and I still can't see them. And then she's like, you know what? I think he has the cloak. You know what? If I didn't see you, I didn't see you. Forget about it.
I love that.
McGonagall is teacher goals in this because she announced herself. She was like, I'm coming. If you're here, you might want to separate. Oh no, I didn't see you. Darn. Just her deciding to, yes, I'll do what Harry wants, but I'm not going to do it well because I know I don't actually want to do this.
Malicious compliance?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Her malicious compliance is hilarious to me, and I approve.
If I'm going to nitpick, it does seem not in McGonagall's personality to have this type of encounter. I think it would be more in her personality to cut straight to the, I can't see it, and then just dip out. You know what I mean? She has a little more humorous way of dealing with this that I don't think is true to really McGonagall's personality.
I feel like we've seen her be sassy before.
Yeah.
Sassy, yes. And that could be the, like, hey, look, I don't see it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not paid enough to deal with this.
I can guarantee you she's not. Albus eventually says to Scorpius, once they've avoided the McGonagall threat, that he is sorry that they don't discuss Scorpius's mom more. And he doesn't believe in the Voldy rumors because, in his eyes, Voldy could never have a kind son. A truly, head-to-toe, pure kind son. Which Scorpius accepts until Albus continues on with his apology, which then starts to talk more about Albus Severus Potter than about Scorpius. And Scorpius is like, I'm sorry. You might just want to quit while you're ahead, because now you're starting to talk a lot about you again. And, you know, this was about my issues for just 1 minute. Like, my problems.
I love Scorpius calling him out for that.
Yeah.
I think that's also good. Like, Scorpius is on a roll.
So, ultimately, they do find their friendship again. And naturally, that means that Albus convinces Scorpius to do something probably pretty stupid. And they decide to go back to the Triwizard Tournament. However, this time, they're going back to the second task. With the goal of completely humiliating Cedric Diggory.
This time they're also being smarter because they are going to have the cloak. Because Albus said he stole it from James. And the way he was able to steal it was because he knew the trunk combination was the day that James got his first broom, which I thought was adorable.
That's a very Harry characteristic.
It really is. That child is definitely a Potter.
Yes.
But it's smart now. Like, we're learning from our mistakes. If we're invisible, then we can't change things as much. And that would be really smart.
And you can't just stop Cedric. Because that just putting a roadblock in his way is not good enough. Mm-hmm. Remember, the whole issue was because he lost the first task, he doubled down on the second task and did such a good job with that he continued on.
And they now know that we can only take like 5 minutes in the past before the time turner pulls us back.
Yeah, you got to be efficient.
Yeah.
So, how do they determine they're going to go about doing this? They set off for a girl's bathroom on the first floor. And that's where the scene ends. So that's where part 1 of this conversation is going to end. And we have part 2, which is going to be good because we start off with our favorite staircases. Yes. So we'll
come back for that.
We'll take a short break. Again, let us know if you do go out to the Forbidden Forest experience. You could let us know by reaching out on any of our socials at Hogwarts a Pod, whether it's Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can leave a comment on Spotify. Also, remember to participate in those polls, like the poll we just had about who's had the tougher time, Albus or Scorpius. Let us know your thoughts on those. We love reading those, and we really find them interesting to see what those results can be, because they surprise us more often than you'd think. Let us know about all that, and we will be back with part 2 after this break. Before we get to our break sound, I'd like to acknowledge our friend Andy, who helps us produce our intros and our break sounds. If you want to hear more of Andy's work and like Formula One racing, check out the Outlap F1 podcast. It's your one-stop shop for Formula One news, insights, race previews, and reviews. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts, and they even have a YouTube page. So check out Andy, Cody, John, James, and Deanna, and join them on the Outlap.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
All right, so we are back with part 2 of this episode where we discuss our favorite part of Hogwarts, the staircases. This is Act 2, Scene 17, and we are located at the Hogwarts staircases where Ron meets Professor Granger for an interesting interaction. Hermione's heart leaps a little bit as she addresses Ron, and Ron kind of also has that moment where he sees Hermione and his mood lightens, cheers up a little bit. And then Ron initiates the discussion by saying Ponju got in trouble in potions class. He doesn't have eyebrows and now bears a large mustache. He happens to be at Hogwarts because Padma says that sons need their fathers in such situations.
Okay, I don't know if Ronan and Padma are helicopter parents or if Hogwarts has just become significantly better at keeping parents informed about stuff than Dumbledore ever did, because I feel like this kind of thing happened all the time when Harry went to school and none of the parents were really informed or cared. Like, oh, my child sprouted antlers and charms. Okay, hospital wing, the end.
Echoing what you said, because that was also my initial thought, this feels like it would just be cleared up by a trip to the nurse.
I don't know, like the Weasley twins when they sprouted large beards, like...
You can't use the twins as an example.
Okay, that's fair.
You can't use the twins, because what they've done at home, Molly's probably like, I don't care, you deal with them. I don't want to hear about them.
What I don't see,
you
I don't
have
care
custody
about.
of them right now. You deal with it. So she's probably so over that.
I guess I just don't know, like, how much is an injury that's worth writing home about? With so many magical, like, okay, you do a charm, but you're not able to do it well enough yet because you haven't mastered it, so you suddenly have dyed your eyebrows blonde instead of their normal color. Okay, is that worth writing home about since it can be fixed up by Madame Pomfrey in like 10 seconds?
Well, the other thing about this is, I don't think this is a Pomfrey thing. I think this is him getting in trouble in potions, and now he has no eyebrows, which you presume would grow back, and a large mustache, which apparently they've decided, you know what, you're keeping that mustache, you gotta groom it now.
So do you think it's more he's here because he's gotten in trouble, or because the lack of eyebrows, new mustache?
A little bit of both.
So we think this is a permanent thing?
I don't think it's permanent.
I don't think
it's a permanent thing, so then why is Ron there?
Men have to help each other with their facial hair.
Again, though,
which is weird.
if it's not a permanent thing, save the facial care for when he's home over Christmas break. Like, this doesn't make sense if it's gonna go away. Like, I assume it's not a permanent thing.
This is why it's helicopter parents. That's the vibe I get from the two of them, especially Padma. Ron, I don't think really wants to be here. Padma is like, something went wrong with my child. Boom, I'm gonna be there in 5 seconds flat. But I'm actually gonna make Ron do it because I don't want to go to Hogwarts right now.
This has a feeling of like, you know, the common meme where it's like this meeting could have been an email.
Yeah.
This entire thing could have been a letter.
So Ron mentions that Albus had said something kind of weird to him earlier. Something about you and I being married, and that we had a kid named Rose.
He also complimented her hair.
Yes.
She combed it.
Well, they both reiterate that, we're friends. We're only friends.
Funny friends.
Yeah. Well, then Ron goes into a whole monologue about the word friend, which is nothing but awkward. And not like our Ron funny awkward. It just comes off as awkward to me, I guess.
It's so cringy.
Yeah. I don't know how often they even see each other at this point. So he might be in the halls of Hogwarts on these famed staircases. Must be thinking back to his youth and seeing her again in those hallways. But he does compliment Hermione's hair again as he exits the scene.
That does raise a good question, though, about their friendship, because Scorpius said in the last scene how they maintained their friendship, and with Harry too, obviously, but it's clear that they don't see each other that often. If he's like, oh, Professor Granger, your hair looks nice, and she seems so shocked by him. And then it also makes you wonder, like, well, why is it that Ron is showing so much interest in Hermione now if at the Yule Ball she seemed less desirable after dancing with Padma? And is it just that you've been with Padma so long and she's making you do all these stupid helicopter parent things that Hermione is now significantly more attractive?
I think the Padma thing is so interesting because I get it. Like, this version of this story does make sense. Like, I could see how this could play out. Mm-hmm. I think a more interesting version is if him and Lavender never broke up.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a very interesting side timeline.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the version we're getting of Padma here is not calling him Wan Wan. She is calling him Ronald all the time. You know for a fact that that's true. So unfortunately, we leave the wonderful scene of Hogwarts staircases.
I love the fact that the staircases always have the very emotional moments. Like the emotional tension. Oh, there's Scorpius. There's Albus. We can't talk. Like, all these dramatic scenes.
You're getting more tension in the staircases with Ron and Hermione.
I liked how melodramatic the last scene with the staircases was. This one just bothered me.
It just makes me think
if
these staircases were like the portraits and they could talk and give the history that they've seen, they'd be gossiping like crazy too. Rita Skeeter would spend all her time on the staircases just to get the gossip.
This is probably the first time we've talked about the staircases this much since probably book 1. But I like to think of them that they've now become their own character in the series.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Completely.
But now we move on to the much more boring Hogwarts headmistress's office. Clearly, in Act 2, Scene 18. However, it's not boring tonight because Harry, Ginny, and Draco arrive in McGonagall's office. And Harry immediately apologizes to McGonagall for how he spoke to her on their last meeting and needs to find his son. McGonagall immediately cuts in and is like, hey, look, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Like, I feel this is wrong. This is an abuse of my power. Bring whatever threats you may. I am out. And Harry reiterates, look, again, I'm sorry. I'm here for peace, not war. I think he says it like 2 or 3 times. I'm here for peace, not war. Peace, not war. Okay. So McGonagall uses the map and finds the pair in the girls' bathroom on the first floor. It's bonkers to me that they can just appear, and not even a teacher. the headmistress's
There's no
office.
boundaries, like.
And I get that this is, like, probably a ministry connection. Like, not every parent can probably have direct access to the headmistress or master of Hogwarts. Harry's somewhat abusing his power here.
Yes.
To just have this connection and just pop in and be like, hey, my son. Hey, my son. Like,
This would be the equivalent of a parent having my phone number and texting me at any given time or calling at any given time.
Granted, I know we've had instances where Lucius would pop in. Mm-hmm. Lucius was a member of whatever school board Hogwarts has. He was a member of the board at the time when he was just popping in all the time.
But I also got the impression Lucius would just, like, come knock on the door of Hogwarts and be like, I have things to say. Not just literally pop into Dumbledore's office and be like, I have issues. Like, I feel like everyone has to bring themselves to the door of Hogwarts and announce themselves. So the fact that they have this direct line to McGonagall's life 24/7, like, if I were her, it makes total sense to me that she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Get out of my office.
We gotta remove this fireplace.
I do assume, to your point, that he's abusing his power at the ministry, that this isn't something that just any student's
Any normal parent can't have this access, yes.
Yeah, because if it was every parent, you couldn't teach. You would always have parent-teacher conferences going through your office 24/7. Like,
even with it being one, that still sounds completely unreasonable and infuriating. Even if it's just Harry who's doing this, stay out.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to send some sort of warning, or, like, send an owl, send something. Don't just show up in my room.
So to your point earlier with Padma and with Ron, and now with Harry, Ginny, and Draco arriving in the headmistress's office, I'm reading this all and I'm like, I need Elizabeth's opinion on this because this is crazy to me.
seriously, like, I would not be able to be a teacher. I could not handle that constant fear of someone's going to come in. Because you know they're not going to pop in to be like, you know what? I think you deserve a raise. You know what? I think you're doing a great job with my child. No, it's, I have an issue and we need to talk about it right now. And I don't care if you're free or if you've got some class you have to go teach or if you want someone else to witness our conversation because you fear what might go down in this conversation. Like, there's just no boundaries, and you have to have boundaries with your job.
Respect your teachers, everybody.
Please and thank you.
They're people, too. We move on to Act 2, Scene 19, and it's still at Hogwarts. This time, it's in the girls' bathroom. And we see Albus forming the plan before us with Scorpius there. And he says that the plan is to use Engorgio on Cedric's bubblehead charm, which would make him float to the top of the lake. So if we remember, Cedric's strategy in the lake the first time was he would just use a bubblehead charm and he would just swim himself to wherever he needed to go in the lake, and that'd be it. So if you engorge the bubble will float to the top. Cedric will be embarrassed because he misused the charm, and that would be that. I don't know how embarrassing this would be for Cedric. I mean, it'd probably be embarrassing.
I feel like he could get to the top, pop the bubble, and then just do it again.
Do it again?
You know?
Probably. Right? Unless one of the rules of this task is you can't break the water. Like, once you're in the lake, you can't...
Oh, resurface.
It just seems like, if your plan is to completely humiliate Cedric, I don't know that this, like, completely humiliates him.
I think this goes back to what Scorpius was saying. It was like, can we really succeed this time? And when Albus is like, oh, yeah, we can totally do it. I'm like, but can we?
So, Moaning Myrtle appears.
Don't call her Moaning.
Scorpius says that exact name, and Myrtle takes quite the offense to it. I'm sorry, what's my name? What? My name is Myrtle Elizabeth Warren. Myrtle laments the loss of such a pretty person in Cedric Diggory, and notes that all of the girls were practicing love incantations in the bathroom.
That said, she doesn't waste any time being like, you know what, you're a Potter, you're a Malfoy, you can hang out in my bathroom if you want. Like okay, Myrtle.
I don't know how to feel about Myrtle.
Myrtle is aggressive.
Myrtle is a very complicated character.
Uh-huh.
Because I guess, in truth, she's stuck as a 15, 16-year-old girl?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she's stuck there.
Yes.
She's stuck in that hormonal state.
She is thirsty.
Yeah, that's the one way you can put it. Yep. Yep, that's an accurate way to describe Myrtle. For sure.
This is why you invite me on.
For your Myrtle takes, yep.
She does seem a little bit different from the series, though.
She seems less depressed.
Less depressed, and, like, I feel like she knew her name was Moaning Myrtle in the series. So I don't know if her aggression towards the Moaning nickname is a ripple in time effect or what, and I don't know what could have caused that. I mean,
I think the aggression towards it might be the ripple.
Maybe, yeah.
I think our original Myrtle would dive into a U-bend and start crying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think just the reaction is different.
And I don't know if it's like, if somehow it could be related to Cedric or the tasks in general or what, but it is interesting to see that even a ghost would have a personality change. I want to know what kind of love incantations these girls were making in the bathroom, because my understanding of love potions is like you'd have to be making an actual potion. I don't think there were any charms that you could do from a long distance in the bathroom and have them affect the person that they're meant for.
Wouldn't it also be somewhat dangerous to be making these charms? Or potions, I mean?
You would think so.
Like, I feel like this could go horribly wrong.
I wonder if any actually did, and they had to have, like fallout from it? Like, we gotta stop these girls from trying to, like, get to Cedric Diggory.
I could see a staff meeting where they're just like, Cedric is too popular for his own good. How do we protect this child from the mass sea of hormones that are piling up in the bathroom?
But you know the crazy bit is, I could see, like, maybe Sprout coming up to Cedric and just being like, do you know, like, all of this hysteria about you is driving us nuts?
Be careful what you eat and drink.
Yes.
Oh, man.
100%.
So awkward.
But I could also see him just being like, can I just be in the common room? Like, do I have to go out? Can we just do my classes remotely somehow? That I don't have to leave?
Oh.
Because he always seemed to be that kind of, like, look, the attention is great. I'm not here for that. I'm just here for the actual, like, I want to prove myself and I want to do the competition. I don't need all of that extra stuff.
And do it on fair grounds, too.
I think that's something that him and Harry always kind of connected on, is that idea of, like, hey, there's a lot of smoke coming our way and we don't really want any of it. Like, we don't want that fame. We don't want all of that. We just want to prove that we are worthwhile on our own.
I always did like it when one of the characters got a taste of what it was like to be Harry. And for Cedric to have that, like, sudden influx of attention out of nowhere and have all these girls giggling about him and
every time you turn a corner or, like, enter a room and you just get the giggling or you get
like, the whole school was divided. I mean, the Slytherins were turning everybody in the school against the Gryffindors and being like, okay, my being part of this is causing all this bullying against my opponent. I never wanted that. So I just always think it's interesting when people get that taste, because it's like, oh yeah, you know, maybe Harry, you actually do handle it really well.
I think that's something I think the champions all shared, which we talked about during Goblet of Fire, but that kind of common sentiment of, hey, none of us are really super comfortable in the spotlight like that. Even Fleur didn't really love being in the spotlight. She was really good at it, but she was never really super comfortable.
And Crumb was used to it, but he was like, yeah, I don't like
he hated
this.
it. He absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was always interesting to kind of see that dynamic. But yeah, here's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes glimpse, I guess, of the Cedric mania that was happening. Well, Albus and Scorpius try their best to move right on past the awkwardness and end up asking Myrtle if there's any way to get to the lake from their current location? And she says, yes, there's actually this specific sink leads straight to the lake. And Albus and Scorpius prepare themselves to disappear down the pipe, which I have questions about. And they take gillyweed, which is interesting because that's how Harry kind of circumvented the whole having to charm or transfigure himself to complete the task. And Scorpius notes it. He's like, oh, isn't that how Harry beat the task? Yeah, well, that's how I know about it. We're going to use it.
I know.
Oh, so you're doing Harry's technique. Interesting. Okay.
I know we're not supposed to think too deeply about this, but it raises so many questions. Where did this...
Are they all about pipes? Because that's all the questions I have.
Where did this gillyweed come from? The gillyweed lasted an hour last time. If we're only going back in time for 5 minutes, will the effects of the gillyweed still last by the time we come back? And then you have to breathe underwater for the next 55 minutes? Or is it because you're time traveling, the effects wear off? Also, we're going down the pipe into the water, but we're doing it at different times. And yet, at the same time, we have the invisibility cloak. And we're time traveling, but wasn't last time, like, they both had to hold on to the time turner or, like, have it around their necks in order for them both to be able to time travel? And they kind of, like, separate because Scorpius goes down the pipe after Albus does. So I'm like, how is this? Is this pipe just magically, like, transporting everyone? It amplifies the time turner? Like, what's happening here?
How is this pipe big enough for these children to go down it? Well, is this a Willy Wonka
they
bathroom?
Just learned the Engorgio charm.
So are these pipes magically imbued so that they never get clogged because they always expand? How do these work? So I brought this up back in Chamber of Secrets, and I playfully thought, who installed said plumbing? And then I got on a rant about it was M&M Plumbing that did the work. And M&M would be Marvolo and Morphin Gaunt, who specifically did...
That was my reaction, too!
Who specifically did the plumbing so that the creature that Slytherin hid in the bowels of Hogwarts can have a way to slither through and attack whatever victims it wanted. That's a long-winded rant. If you'd like to hear more, head back to our Chamber of Secrets episodes. And if you're just joining us now, welcome to Pipe Talk with Dan.
I like the fact that Myrtle says how these pipes are not up to code, which indicates that there is some kind of zoning code for castles.
And that she knows it.
And she knows it. Like, has she become so infatuated with bathrooms that she looks up all the wizarding codes of bathrooms? Knows that they are not up to proper code.
There are many questions.
Maybe there are like wizarding plumbers that are coming out and she heard them talking about it.
They're like, wow, this one pipe doesn't work, though there's a snake on the side. But this pipe, it goes straight to the lake, and it is massive.
So wait, also, do all the pipes lead to the lake? Is that lake just really polluted?
I'm imagining...
Do the mer people have issues with this?
Oh my gosh, I can imagine the mer people sending petitions to Hogwarts and being like, all your waste keeps coming into our lake.
Is this what Dumbledore kept, like, debating with them on the side of the lake all this time?
They're the ones that called the inspectors.
I want the giant squid to climb up the pipe.
Right? What about the giant squid? No one's thinking about the giant squid. And that's really what we have to have an issue
I'm
about.
also imagining, you know how like in the movie it has the sink and this like this circular kind of thing in the middle? I'm imagining like instead of it opening up and just having the one slide of the pipe, there being multiple pipes and they all go in the different directions in the school.
You know what would be kind of neat if like the pipes moved around like the staircase?
I'm just imagining what the mer people think of this pipe, though. I have so many questions.
Right? So many pipe questions. Okay, let's move on from the Hogwarts pipes. So, McGonagall, Harry, Ginny, and Draco all appear in this bathroom just a little late after Albus and Scorpius have descended after taking the gillyweed.
And time travel, because they did the light effect. That
Yes.
happened, yeah.
So Myrtle addresses Harry and Draco by asking if they've been bad boys again.
She's still thirsty.
So Myrtle is a ghost. Therefore, she's essentially stuck in the same, like, mindset, personality. She can't necessarily learn new information, right? I think that's what we've established.
I think that's what the Wizarding World established, but I feel like the books kind of contradict it a bit.
What I'm getting at is she can't learn, like, new pickup lines or anything like that.
Not the direction I thought that was going to go. She can't learn new pickup lines.
She's been using the same material for, like, 30 years, okay? I'm just saying.
Hasn't worked on anybody yet.
Terrible. Myrtle is actually a very tragic character that we should give much more thought and respect to. She's been through a lot.
We did back in book 2.
Also, the ethical questions surrounding this, I have conflicting viewpoints on. I do agree with what you're saying, though, where ghosts can learn and mature. Mm-hmm. So I feel like from that perspective, she's older than what she indicates.
She certainly knew that she was doing wrong when she was, like, creeping on the prefects in the bathroom.
Well,
especially Cedric.
That's been a social norm for quite a long time.
Yes.
I think that was still a social norm when she was alive.
But, like, that, or I don't know, like the way that she was talking to Draco so much and learning what was causing him issues, like, she was still able to remember that. And, like, I feel like when the Wizarding World says, like, ghosts are stuck in their own moment of death, and whatever the mindset was, like, that is very much portrayed in the Grey Lady and the Bloody Baron in their constant feud with each other. But when you show the Grey Lady reflecting on her time with Voldemort and being like, oh, I made a mistake there, I should tell Harry this big secret, like, to me that shows that they're learning something and they are reflecting on the modern world and their part in it.
The Grey Lady was the example I was going, all of what you just said was exactly what I was thinking of.
The only difference I'll put between Myrtle and the Grey Lady, for example, is one died as a teenager and the other died as an adult.
That's fair.
So as an adult, you have a larger bandwidth as to what the world is, how the world is
self-centered. Like, literally,
like you have a larger concept of more than just yourself. Whereas Myrtle died at a point in her life where she was very, this is going to sound aggressive, but like self-centered, where it was her bubble was really only like her little sphere versus, the Grey Lady who had the opportunity to see the world a little bit, to understand what the world was. So maybe that also impacts what they're able to comprehend and thus comment on.
That's fair.
In depth.
That's still said. You'd think a 14-year-old wouldn't be like, hey, 40-year-old Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Coming into my bathroom stall.
I think she might recognize that he's older because I think she comments on it. Like, you're older. Mm-hmm. But I think mentally and personality-wise, she's still stuck as a teenager and might only, like,
flirt with boys. I'm a teenager. I see a man or a guy or a boy, and it's just like flirt because hormones are present. And if that's like what she's stuck as, okay. But again, this seems like a more flirty Myrtle than she was in the series, because I think,
don't know, she was pretty flirty
like,
back then too.
She had her flirty moments, but I could see it more as her crying and being like, why is everyone so obsessed with Scorpius and Albus? Like, if they die, who cares? Because I died in here, and why doesn't anyone care about my death? I'm Myrtle Elizabeth Warren. Like, she just seemed more like, I feel like she would have had a crying breakdown at least 3 times by this point in the original timeline.
I think she's more aggressive here, and she's less depressed.
Yeah.
So Myrtle says that the boys ended up using a trinket and wanted to use that trinket to save Cedric Diggory. At that moment, everything clicks in Harry's head. And he goes,
as it always does.
And he goes, oh no, I know what this is all about. McGonagall very confused. She's like, what are you talking about? Diggory died years ago, and there aren't any more time turners to use. Draco, by the way, also very confused, being like, what is going on? Why is Cedric Diggory's name being brought up? And where did our kids go? Harry announces that they are traveling through time.
And Myrtle calls everyone naughty.
And Myrtle calls everyone naughty. Isn't everyone so naughty? Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of deeply uncomfortable.
Well, that can be applied to Myrtle in general.
That's fair.
So true.
A lot of the Myrtle interactions can be described as very uncomfortable. Even the more serious, we're joking a lot about Myrtle, but even the more serious stuff with Myrtle can be described as uncomfortable for a whole set of other reasons. Like, some of the more...
Her self-harm,
and all
that.
A lot of the depression, a lot of the anxiety that she had are uncomfortable discussions to have.
That's true.
And a lot of Myrtle can be discussed in the realm of uncomfortable. But this one is a little bit more playful, a little bit more flirty, and it's played up in the play as a more humorous interaction between Myrtle and all of these characters. But
I was trying to think if I could remember her scenes from the play. I know this one we obviously had to have seen because this is such a huge plot point, them about to time travel. And
Myrtle was fun in the play. Like, the way they, swooped her down and, got into the faces of the characters.
I don't remember much of the scene, but the description talked about how when she emerges, she comes out of the sink with, this splash of water, which seems like a cool effect. I can't remember it enough. I remember the bookcase. I remember the staircases. But I don't remember Myrtle.
Well, the staircases are the star of the show, as we've clearly identified. No, I do remember the Myrtle scenes, and I did enjoy those quite a bit, and it did come off as quite humorous while you're watching the play. But, yeah, there are some questions with Myrtle that always have to be. Do you think the kids are always warned about Myrtle? Or do you think the parents tell their kids about Myrtle, or do you think it's literally a tradition to just pass it on from older students to younger students? Like, hey, stay away from that bathroom?
So when I went to junior high, I can't remember if this was junior high orientation or if it was the first year of junior high, but they got everybody in 7th grade together and they sat us all down and they said, okay, this is how the school year is going to go. These are the things to look out for. Don't buy any elevator passes from 8th graders because we don't have an elevator. I would kill to see orientation day for Hogwarts. Where it's don't go into the forest, it can kill you. Avoid the really thirsty ghost in the girls' bathroom.
Try to find your class. Good luck. The staircases move.
Yeah, the staircases move. Have fun. I would kill to be around for that orientation where Dumbledore's just up, everyone's sitting in bleachers, they're just running through the rules of the school.
If you go to a prefect or a head boy or head girl and they don't have the answer, because they don't have all of the answers about this school yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And some of them are just, or the correct answer would be, I don't know. It's the castle. I don't know. And that's the actual answer.
Why is Peeves here? He's always been here.
I mean, Dumbledore has had that answer. Yeah. I don't know, it's the castle. I don't know everything about the castle. And that's Dumbledore.
That would drive me nuts.
What makes me laugh is the fact that the boys don't seem to be largely aware of Myrtle. And I get it, because she's in the girls' bathroom. But it's just funny to me to think that, the girls have this whole ghost that they have to deal with, where the boys are just blissfully unaware that there's, in the room around the corner, there's a girl who's flooding the toilets and crying her eyes out. Oh, okay.
I mean, really,
we can pee in
the
peace.
Person who's got to deal with it the most would be Filch. Because if the room is getting flooded the most, he's got to go clean that all up. So I would be more interested in Filch's opinion on
I
Myrtle.
would pay to see a scene of Filch yelling at Myrtle, and Myrtle just crying over his voice, and him being like, why do I work in a magical castle when I don't have magic?
We've talked about a lot on this episode. We hope you've enjoyed all of our ramblings about Myrtle and staircases. Oh, and about the actual pivotal plot points of Albus and Scorpius in this set of scenes. So hopefully you've enjoyed all of that. But if you did, please let us know by commenting on our Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, on YouTube, and on Spotify. You can find all of our socials at Hogwarts a Pod. Participate in the poll that we were going to post for this episode. You can do so by going to Spotify, scrolling down, and there's a poll right where we post that episode. And we really are interested in everything you guys have to say about Cursed Child. Let us know what you guys think. We will be back soon with another episode. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to Hogwarts, a podcast. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button on your preferred podcasting app and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hogwarts a Pod.